Hi guys, this is MicheleMarieDalene, and good old buddy would probably freak out when I say this. It's that time of the week again. Does this shit really work? The answer is yes, it does. I've been using skin shades now for a whole year, and my right eye has made marked improvement from where it was last December. Last December I thought I was going to go blind completely and I wouldn't have to give up videos, and thank God I did not have to give up videos. So it was a success for me. As we say in Klingon, Kupla! Okay. Now, the problem is that we have to talk about some things today that are not so great, but they're important. And that has to do with, in order to buy more of these, I have to lower my profits and expenses. Now, I showed you this budget last time on my program, on the vlog on the Soup Kitchen, so I'm not really going to go into a lot of details, but we are going to, again, remind some of you who may not have seen the budget. Let me try to get the right sheet here. Yes, I do have it here. This is for January, okay? And this was printed up on December 23rd at 3 o'clock and 7 seconds. And it tells a bunch of, I'm going to just rehash some of these numbers so you understand. The income that I get each month hasn't changed. There's no increases. This year has been totally Coke Zero. There has not been a cost of living adjustment. And this is totally messing me up because the system that they used to adjust the cost of living, Congress, is not really correct, and it's messing me up so much. So I have the same income, but my rent has gone up. I'm paying $700 a month right now. So that's the difference. So let me just go through these real quick here. $1,232 income a month from Social Security Disability. My rent is now $700 from $296 a month. I'm going to have a credit on my electric bill that's going to be put towards this month's bill coming up, which is probably going to be about a $108 bill. So it's going to probably be, I'm putting in $40 to cover my butt. I don't know if it might be more, it might be less. I'd rather see it be less of I have to pay than more, but you never know. See, cell phone bill. I'm not buying any minutes this month. I really can't afford to. I might be able to buy a tenner, but I have other things I want to do with the money. I'll get to that in a second. The home internet is still $56, and of course the home phone for line 1, 2, and 3, and all the taxes and other costs is $117.26. That leaves me with the total expenses so far of this list of $913.26. Then you subtract the hair care, which is I got to get a touch, trim, eyebrow work. It's going to be about $70 this month coming up. And then I put $20 into savings usually every month automatically. So that's still being put into the bank. I estimate $90 for those too. Then we have the accounts payable. I'm not going to go through all these budgets. Just to say is that, like I said one time before, sorry, somebody is just not going to get paid this month. Maybe this month you might, but in February, don't count on it. It's really pretty interesting to think about. By the way, some of you guys, I haven't to watch, Bunny there on her channel a lot of times. I mentioned her, kind of her introduction at the beginning of the cancer eye drops because it's one topic I don't think she's ever really did. It's about eye drops. So one of the questions people ask is does Bunny have hearing loss? I don't know if she does. I know I do. And so you're probably saying to yourself, how come you don't blow my ears down? Well, because I'm able to figure out the right volume settings to at least keep the volume so it doesn't get so loud that it becomes offensive. But some people don't have that ability, and That might be in Bunny's case. It's definitely is hard for the situation right now because of the budget for the next few months is definitely nip and tuck. Me and Dory are talking about working together on that. Is it going to happen? I can't tell you. I don't know yet. Do I want it to happen? Yes, but again, I can't say. Things are up in the air at this point because there's a few situations out of our controls that we cannot change, and so it's going to be problematic. So what about February? I didn't plan for February yet because I haven't even gotten through January yet. The biggest variable is going to be the electric bill. And maybe the fact is I've been vegetating so much and pretty much sleeping every day, almost 18 hours a day. Maybe my electric bill will be a lot lower. So maybe in February, maybe I might have an electric bill of, say, $70, $80. That'd be nice, but I don't think it's going to be that low. But you never know. It could be lower. I really do not know what the future is. So now what about the home phone? You got these 3 phone lines. Is there anything you can do with that to cut expenses? It's the taxes that's killing me. It's not the phone lines. The 3 phone lines was $76. But when you add in the state and federal taxes, it's just so much that, and the same thing with the electric bill. At 22.4 cents per kilowatt hour for the electric, it's killing me. I don't know what my long-term solutions are because I do want to consider getting kind of semi off the grid. In other words, maybe if we can switch to using alternative power sources such as solar power for the studio, a big bank of batteries and LED lighting and stuff, maybe we can cut our expenses. But that kind of gets more expensive because, you got to buy the equipment, you got to buy the additional outlay. It's not like it's a all for free situation. I wish it was so simple, but it's not. So it's something I'm looking into right now. I'm also want to try something next Christmas. I got to start shopping for it when I can get the stuff a little at a time. I want to do a simple light show for Christmas. I see these really big fancy displays that people do, which is great, but there's a lot of stuff and a lot of work. I want to try something on a simpler level to start with. And maybe even for now, for the time being, because of the cost, do it inside the apartment. In other words, the new, I'm not going to go into all the details because I don't want to bore you with all the details, but there's some new technology out there that's really, really quite fantastically wonderful, and it's not cheap, but it's not the most expensive. And so I want to look into it. And one of the things, like I mentioned before, with the dimmers for the lights from DMX is that I definitely want to do that for these lights. So I can dim the lights and maybe even have a couple extra lights for other areas of the apartment so that I can have set the lights to where I want them. And that's something I'm looking into. And I gotta wait until I get some money to do that. So that's not gonna be in the near future. I'm gonna keep looking for the bargains. I'm gonna try to save what nickels I can and try to make it happen. And that's what I'm gonna do because I really want to do this because it really excites me. Once I can figure out how to do that with just a standard manual console, then I can start doing the computer control. But that's gonna take a little longer. But the apartment business is, like I said a couple days ago, Ed suggested that I should try to keep my apartment. And I agree with him that I really want to keep my apartment. So, because this is my home, this is where I'm from, this is my power base, this is where I'm in the most comfortable zone. This is the home field. You know what I'm saying by that? This is, it's It's just like any sports team when they're playing at home. They know the trick straps and the stuff of the field that they play on because they practiced on it since they started their career with that team. The same is true with me. My apartment is my home. I wish sometimes it was a little bit better organized. I wish that I could say straight out that it could be better. It's not the apartment's fault. It's the way it is. The haphazard look. It's kind of my fault, but right now I'm living on basically a wish and a prayer. So I have to just kind of just hold on and hold it together as best I can, and not go too crazy thinking about the pie in the sky kind of thinking. It's going to be hard enough for me to keep doing my hair every month. I'm going to keep doing my hair. That's what I got to do. That's my goal. That's my intention. Right now it doesn't look too bad. I just did a video with Dory a little earlier, and she's here, and Shame's here, and eventually those cats are going to need their checkups. I'm going to need to get my checkups. I got to get some new clothing and stuff like that. Let me see here. Yeah, well, it doesn't look too bad today. It's still got crabby there. See, he gets this infection in his ear, and I have to clean it out for him because he's got this big, bad wax problem. It's okay. It's okay. And ask me if this cat's still with us. Yep, he's still with us. He's oh my goodness, you're 12 years old now, huh? You're a 12-year-old pussycat. Yeah, he's a full-grown cat, and so it's amazing to see that he's been here with Valerie slamming her. It's like got him when he was a kitten, and then a couple of years ago, she was between places to live, and so she wanted to have her cat with her. And that was this cat, and I had another cat, which was Fluffy. And I told her, I said, well, I don't know how Fluffy's going to react, but you can bring him over here and see what happens. If it works, it works. If it don't, it don't. It did. Fame and Fluffy, sniffed each other. She hissed at him a little bit, but, she didn't get really mean at him, and they lived together for many years. And then a couple of years ago, Valerie died from issues with her complications from her diabetes, and Fame stayed with me because me and Valerie talked about it at the time is that we best have Fame stay here because her life was just totally up in the air where she was, and that's why Fame has still been part of our videos for a long time. By the way, Rusty's doing fine. He's outside right now. He's doing cat things. He's been very active, going out there with his girlfriend Kitty, Sasha, and I think they're planning to have another set of kittens again. I don't know yet, but we'll find out sooner or later if we see that she's definitely with kittens. And so that's that. And of course, I'm not going to be responsible for the kittens, but that was this. It's hard to believe we're in December, and then in 3 months it'll be March, and I'll be back. And it'll be almost like a whole year again. Whereas last year was definitely for me was a year without a summer. I didn't really have a summer here. It was around March. My landlord told me that we're going to start going to a hotel. They got to start working on the porch. We used to in March, April, May, and June. We went over to the Roadway Inn around right before Easter, and then I stayed the Roadway Inn for about a few weeks. And then I went to the Yellow House for a while, and then I temporarily came back here for a while, and then I went back to the Yellow House again, and for a while the cats were upstairs here. I finally brought the cats down to the Yellow House around July, and then of course they stayed with me and Lemmy down at the Yellow House until we all came back officially around October 15th, and that's when, so yeah, I definitely consider that the year without a summer for me, because I really didn't get a chance to enjoy my apartment in the summertime. There was so much going on with the Section 8 and everything. You guys know why I left the Section 8 program, but unfortunately, in leaving the Section 8 program, I also knew that I would have to deal with some hard times. Having to face challenges and day-by-day experiences, and that's still true to this day. I'm still facing those things. I don't have a problem with not having Section 8, because I originally got this apartment without Section 8. But I didn't have a ton of credit card debt back then, and my credit score right now has not changed at all. It has not gone up significantly at all. In fact, it's stable, but it still sucks. It still sucks. From Credit Karma reports to me that my credit score is still sucky. So I gotta work on that. And of course, Mr. Cat, you gotta block the microphone so the audience can't hear me? Oh goodness. So what do you think? What I think? Yeah. Come on, Cat, get down a bit. I think that you are a tough person and that you're resilient. And I can tell you that I think you will pull through. Just like the song by Merle Haggard said, if we make it through December. Well, you made it through December. It's going to make it through January, February, March, April, May, June. Not wait until December of next year. I think you'll do it. I think you will pull through, because even though you had to make some significant sacrifices. See, Michelle didn't get a chance to watch her satellite dish this year. She ended up having to return to the Dish Network because she couldn't afford to keep it. Right. Even if I had the money, I don't know if I'd get another satellite dish necessarily. I might consider getting a rooftop antenna. At least then I can watch the local news and information and check out the weather forecasts and stuff. That's the one sore thing I really miss, is having access to the local weather forecasts. Yeah, I understand that. Because that really made it hard for you to plan ahead for the storms, because you didn't have information be presented in easy digestible form. You had to get all the raw footage from the National Weather Service and try to build your own forecast. And it was just so depressing. What do you think of the one storm we just had? Well, I think it's at least it happened before New Year's, and according to the information there about the El Nino, the ENSO, which is the it shows that the El Nino is starting to cool down and become a La Nina. So we're going to be starting to see a cooling trend, which should result in a more of a normal trends for weather. Right. But you think it's going to be cold for the rest of the summer or winter? It seemed like summer, didn't it? Yes, it seemed like spring, pretty much almost all winter so far. It was actually autumn. Yes. Okay. Winter actually starts from Yule to Mabon. So I would say that we might be seeing more of a normal trends coming up now for the weather. It usually sometimes if it's a strong El Nino anyway, what happens is that when it becomes a La Nina halfway through what they call the winter season, autumn, winter, but usually around the transition between the two, is when you see the El Nino kind of start to change into a La Nina. You start to see the temperatures can change abruptly. This is apparently the kind of trends that we're starting to see here for New England. Some people are, I'm sure in Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont are very happy that now that they have got more snow for the ski lifts and they can open up more of the trails. For a lot of the ski resorts, they only had like a quarter of the trails open because there just wasn't enough snow. now they can prepare to get ready to open up the rest of them. But starting tomorrow, the weather will be a little bit warmer, but then it starts to cool down. We do not expect any significant, for New England anyway, southern New England, any significant precipitation for at least a week. So don't panic, guys. But this might be a good time for you to consider talking to your electrician about getting a generator. Good call. Good call. Absolutely. Because, I mean, we already experienced, some of you have already experienced, who've been in the Midwest, have experienced Goliath and its potential damage it's done to your poles and knocking out hurricanes and tornadoes and ice breaking down power lines. This just demonstrates again, like I said one time before, is this might be a good time to consider that you might need to bring in a generator as a backup source of energy. And it'd be best to have one installed by a licensed contractor to make sure that you never have to worry about being without electricity again. When I was a youngster, in the early 70s, it really was no big deal because most everything we had was electricity. It was just for the lights and maybe the TV and the radio and maybe the water pump in the basement. And of course the oil burner. But nowadays we use electricity for so many things, and it's becoming more and more important to have that as a backup resource. And as far as my plans, I still would like to consider designing a backup energy system here. But like I said in Dory's video, solar power in the wintertime in New England is basically useless. But solar power as a backup to charge your battery bank in the summertime would be a great option. But for wintertime, maybe you could have mains power generator that keeps the power generator. Now, let me ask you a question. Now, this is related to what we're talking about with the solar power. And also, it's similar to what you were talking about for Christmas lights. Those LED tape strips. The 12-volt ones. If you put those around these walls where the incandescent light bulbs are now, the Christmas lights, would they produce as much light as these Christmas lights? Yeah, they would. I think so. I could be wrong, but I think they'll produce maybe a little more light because they're about 60 watts worth of energy. Now, these mini lights that we're using here around this thing would have to be equivalent to that. These are only using about 12 watts, which is really about 1.2 watts on the LED. So it definitely will be brighter than these. And because they're strips of lights, they can be powered from a deep cycle battery and with a charge controller and things like that. And then if the power goes out, you can use that as lighting. And of course you can use it as lighting, otherwise it'll still provide you with the illumination you need for everyday work, for task lighting. But for our video work, we still need these big 300 watt bulbs each. Maybe I'm old fashioned, I don't know. It just works for me. Okay. So, anything else you want to tell anybody? The New Year's is coming up. I just want to remind you guys, please be careful on the roads. I don't care if there's ice or not. Some people get careless when they in New Year's celebrations and they get a little bit one too many and they get themselves into a deep pile of trouble and potentially killing somebody under the influence. I would recommend that you have a designated driver or arrange to get home by some other means. If you're going to drink any alcoholic beverages, please don't get behind the wheel if you're drinking. All right, that's all I'm asking you. And depending where you are, they will usually arrange for you to get a cab home or, whatever. Just be safe, be smart, be alive. Also, I wanted to remind you that there will be coming up free coffee at Cumberland Farms on New Year's Eve. Free coffee, Cumberland Farms I don't know what's the New Year's Day. I just know it's the New Year's Eve. So New Year's Eve, your free coffee, and that will be on the 31st of New Year's. Also, for those people who are receiving Social Security checks, your check will be here. Now, Dory said a different date than me. I'm going to err on the side of caution. Because technically the 1st is a Friday. So I'm going to say that if you normally get your checks on the 3rd, you will get your check, because the 3rd happens to land on a Sunday. It will be coming on a Friday of this week coming up. So, plan ahead for that. Same thing for your SNAP benefits, for your food stamps. If you normally get your food stamps on the 1st, you'll still get them on the 1st. SNAP doesn't adjust like the checks do, but they does change somewhat depending on circumstances. Now, by the way, Michelle got her food, is keeping her food stamps. I guess I am. No. I think my cat's laying on that bill. Anyway, I don't think it needs to get. I'm really kind of looking forward to the as I said, for the next few months. I hope it's going to work out, and I just want to ask all of you to please pray for me, to your favorite deity, whoever they may be, that that things are going to work out for me financially, and that we'll be able to get out of our financial doldrums, and that we'll be able to get back to being more creative and more developing new ideas and concepts and things like that. I really, really want to do something this year with this new stuff for the studio, and also a Christmas lights display for this year coming up. So, but obviously, I'm going to need some green stamps for that. And so, if you can also consider donations, I really would love it really much. It's easy. I already showed you that before in the past. To slip a payment in between the gas and the electric, it's really not a big deal. $5, $10 would go so far to help us to keep the lights on. And so I thought I would just remind you that. And lastly, of course, is stay warm in the next few days. It's going to be getting colder again, which means if there's any moisture on the road, it's going to turn into ice. So again, just like with the designated driver, please be careful when you're driving. I don't want to really have to find out people get hurt. So, to answer the last question I did say in the beginning of the video, yes, the Kansas City Hydrants really did work. They took a long time, but they are still working to this day, and I'm really happy that I can see better than I could in the past. So that's me, and that's that. And of course, let's get a review into. Yeah. So, I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Hey, did you know there's a lot more going on right now at our websites? Are you watching all 4 of them? If not, check them out. There's a list right here. We got 3 YouTube channels and 1 audio-only channel for your enjoyment. So come on, dig in and see all the stuff we do here at the North American Snow Queen Palace.